All right, coming to you from Fandom Outpost Studios. We're here for episode 29.
I feel like you just hit all the buttons at once. Yeah. Like a cat.
I love the record scratch.
Dang,
too,
yeah.
there.
No, gosh, I can't believe
Do we
I
need to
did
take that again? We're
No,
good.
that was good.
No, we're fine. We're fine.
Perfect.
Well, Nick, how you doing?
I'm great, man. I have been hard at work
Yes, you have been.
on Fandom Outpost 2, which there'll be more word coming on that here before too long. Maybe I should put out that rendering that you sent to me, Ben. Like,
Put out a teaser for everyone to kind of get hyped, you know?
I don't know if they'll be as
man.
hyped as I am, but I'm really excited. I mean, not even just to have a studio space, but just to have a finished basement that can hang out in, and that makes my house worth more money. That's
Yeah, love that.
Priorities.
I mean,
You do. I got you. I hear you.
There's got to be a financial component to it, right? Like, that's the way it goes. That's we're all adults.
Yep.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. That's right. Ben and I actually had an exciting couple days here. We got to go to the Origins board game festival, and that was awesome.
Incredible.
Wow.
We went for one of the 4 days, and next year I think we will be going to all 4 days because
Dang.
it was incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to play test 6 games at least.
Yeah.
We spent way too much money and bought a lot. But it was a great time. And they had you could join D&D campaigns. You could test brand new things that they just wanted people to give feedback on. They had other, you could paint minis and stuff like that. Yeah.
I felt like it was an event that was made directly for me. I really enjoyed the fact that I could walk around and somebody's like, "Hey, you want me to teach you a board game?" I'm like, "Yeah, all right."
And they'll ask you you want the 2-minute version or the 5-minute version?
Right.
And
I'm
always
like,
the 5-minute.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like,
We're here for this. Yeah.
but no, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that a whole lot, and I was glad that I got to go with Ben. So,
Yeah, man. That was definitely the highlight of my last few weeks, too.
Wow, yeah. I think the text where you guys invited me, I just must have missed it or something. I don't know where it was.
Sorry, Mikey.
If you would sit down and play a board game with us, then we'll invite you.
Okay,
Are you,
fair enough.
I don't know if I've ever. Let's see. If I ever played a board game with Mikey, did you ever play Quelf with us? I don't remember.
Yeah, we did. Okay, we did play that a lot. I remember
Quelf.
that. Yeah.
Man,
Good times.
that was the game. That was college right there. Playing Quelf, Quelf and Catan.
Shout out to anyone who knows Quelf.
Yeah.
It's a great game.
It's a great game. Mikey, what's new with you?
Yeah, well, I'm riding high off the weekend. We had a wedding. My wife and I were both in the wedding, and our friends from church, and just so much fun. It was incredible. Just great time with friends. Father's Day was great. Just had an awesome day. My in-laws were in town for the first half of it, and then I went to church. Just got pizza afterwards. It was just a great weekend. I mean, Friday, Saturday, Sunday were all great. So I had a really fun time.
Awesome.
Well, Ben, what besides the festival, did you do anything in the last week?
Let's see. I saw one of my favorite bands, the Arcadian Wild. They were in
Nice.
town. Saw them at the Roomba Cafe. That was a really good time. If you're into some folk music, especially just a 4-piece, they do great stuff. Also went to the Columbus Arts Festival, which I have something for Nick that will be in our new studio that
Nice.
we'll reveal at some point.
Dude, I thought the arts festival was earlier in the summer because I always want to go and then I forget to look and see what weekend it happens in.
Yeah, it was 2 weekends ago.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that sounds right.
But yeah, that was a good time too. Highly recommend.
No, it's that's another fun thing. I mean, I feel like Columbus has so many great festivals and things like that come, but that's one that I really thoroughly enjoy as well. I'm sad that I missed it again. I need to look it up beforehand and all right, let's put this in the calendar for next year. That way I can remember, some of these dates.
There's got to be a Columbus festival calendar out there somewhere.
No, I'm sure there is.
Well, anyways, today we are talking Game of Thrones, which I'm super excited about, especially with the new season of House of the Dragon just premiering this weekend. And a good friend, Jami, is joining us.
Hello.
Longtime D&D player with me and Nick for a while.
Yep.
And sister-in-law to Keith, who's been on. So, yeah, happy to have
family.
you. Yes, that's how we do.
Yeah.
Until we start getting some big names on this podcast. It's what we got to do, which will come someday.
Yes,
All right.
one day. Yeah, one day.
Maybe. Anyways, so let's get us started, Nick. Why don't you introduce us?
Hello and welcome to Fandom of Fandoms, the show where every single episode we are diving into the worlds that fans love the most. And this week we are talking Game of Thrones, and there is a lot of content that we could definitely talk about today. So I'll be interested to see where the conversation goes. You know, there's books, there's shows, there's games, there's just so much stuff to talk about. So let's go ahead and dive in. I think who am I supposed to pass?
I'm going to give us a little bit of an overview, and again, I might butcher a lot. Jami, do you know when the books came out? That's one thing I didn't look up.
Yeah, so the first book was released in 1996.
Okay,
30 years ago.
Wow,
That's crazy. Yeah.
And the most recent book was released 15 years ago.
So it's been a 15-year gap, and we
Yes.
still have not gotten the last two books, which
Correct.
Michael and Jami and I were talking about a little before, since Michael doesn't know a lot about it. But so we'll get into it. It started with the book series. The first book being called A Game of Thrones, the saga being called A Song of Ice and Fire, written by George R.R. Martin, as Jami said, coming out first in 1996. There are currently
five
books out. Yeah, and two more supposedly on the way. But they've also spawned some offshoots of the books themselves. These had individual novels and stuff like that. The show itself, or the show and the book themselves, cover a place called Westeros, a fantasy world where there are 7 kingdoms on this one continent. And it kind of starts off with the death of the hand of the king, like the right-hand man, which spawns a lot of controversy, who caused it, etc. And amongst that, like, all these kingdoms start warring for power. There's a lot of deaths. There's a lot of, like backstabbing, political intrigue. There's some romance stuff that happens, and there are dragons. I don't know how else to go into it without like just telling the whole story, which will take us. The show took, I think I looked it up, like 73 plus hours or something like that.
Yeah.
So we don't have that much time, but we will get into what we can.
There's a lot of things
Yeah.
that we could talk about.
I feel like we'll mostly stick with the books and the main show, like, because there are 2 spin-off shows. There's House of the Dragon, and there's A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, which both based on other works.
Novellas,
Yeah. One of them being more of a textbook.
Well, yeah, so the House of the Dragon is based off of, from the beginning, it was a short story within like a anthology series called Dangerous Women. And then they expanded by putting out kind of an encyclopedia of the world of Ice and Fire called Fire and Blood. And
That's it, Fire and Blood.
that's where they, drew out a lot more of the story that they've based the show on.
Yeah. So, before we kick it off to Jami, sorry,
no,
Nick.
I wanted to interrupt a minute ago.
Yeah.
I didn't even remember it's been so long since I've watched like the first episode. Who was the hand of the king before he goes to Eddard?
Jon
Arryn.
Arryn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and he kind of had raised Ned Stark and Robert Baratheon up from boys, and so they were all kind of real close together.
Yeah. Husband of Lisa Arryn of the Vale,
Okay.
Catelyn's sister.
Yeah, she doesn't show up until much later in this. What is that like? Is that
No,
season?
it's season 1.
I think
Is
she's
it?
in season 1. She's in a letter at the very
okay,
beginning,
yeah.
the very first episode. She's the one that kind of hints that Jon Arryn's death was not necessarily natural. So she's got suspicions.
Yeah, so lots of twists and turns, and one of the biggest things that I think caught the world by storm when the show came out was just like the shock factor of a lot of these reveals, twists, etc. So that was one of the
Killing
biggest
main
things.
characters.
Yep,
you know?
absolutely. Yeah, one of the best characters ever dies. Episode 9.
Yeah.
Do we have a spoiler?
Yeah,
Yes,
right.
you know nothing, Jon Snow.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
I figure that's a good spoiler
Nice.
warning.
Yeah, that's a good
But
one.
again, like, this has all been out for a while, so if you
True.
don't know, then I apologize.
I do have to continue my confession. I still did not watch
You never did, huh?
the season or the series finale. That was, I don't know.
I find that kind of impressive to make it all the way to the last episode and be like, nope, I'm good.
I don't even know what, like, it wasn't even like a choice that I made at first, because I don't know, some people were like, especially after watching the last episode, wanted to just said a whole lot of terrible things about it, whatever. And it wasn't like I heard that and I was like, I'm just not going to watch it. It was more like, you know what? I know what happens. I guess I just don't want to expose myself to the the drama of it all. I don't know. I didn't. Well, we can get into it later. But it was, I didn't find it too surprising, the direction with which they chose to end the show based off of the last season.
Yeah.
there's not spoilers for you.
No.
You just didn't see it happen.
No, I didn't watch it, but I know the end of the story.
Gotcha. Well, Mikey, I know that you're the one person around the table who doesn't know much about it. So why don't you tell us what you do know, just picking it up from culture?
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that because it's so prevalent in our culture, the show. And I actually thought this was way older than the 90s, to be honest with you.
I would have thought the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know. It just has that kind of vibe,
Yeah.
Just like that fantasy, I think of like old time. Yeah, I'm thinking like Lord of the Rings or something like that,
absolutely.
But anyway, I've never seen the show, never seen any of the spinoffs. I know some of the memes, but honestly, that's really the extent of it. So I'm definitely excited for you guys to expose me.
Well, spoilers. So.
yeah, give me a lot of spoilers.
Well, I don't think Michael's ever going to watch it. So
That's true. Nick, what's your background with the show?
I've seen a decent amount. So I've seen the entirety of the main series
-1,
minus the last episode. I have read the first 2 books, I think, and I've played some of the Telltale game. That's one thing. So like some of the media that's out there, and then I did a little bit of House of Dragon, and it didn't grab me quite enough, that I was latched on and just could
you didn't stick around long enough.
Eventually, I want to come back to it maybe, but just I don't know. Whatever, for whatever reason, I loved actually the actors and stuff that were phenomenal. I didn't have as big of a draw to it as I did to the main series, personally.
Yeah. What about you, Ben? What's your background?
Yeah, so I didn't start watching the show immediately. I started maybe at the beginning of season 2. Like, a lot of friends were into it, and I was like, I guess I should check out this thing, and immediately was sucked in. It's exactly like my right up my alley. After I've caught up with wherever I was in the second season, I've read all the books since. Only once, but I mean, still have read them. I guess Fire and Blood I've maybe leafed through, since again it reads more like a textbook.
Yeah.
But I did read Night of the Seven Kingdoms. That was hands down like my favorite portion, I guess, of the story, even though it's not part of the main story.
I've heard good things about the series. I don't know. I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah.
Is it?
I've seen the first episode and I keep meaning to go back. It's I've fallen off my watch list. I need to go back to it because I've heard great things too. Jamie and I were just talking about it beforehand too, and I'm looking forward to it. But I'm also looking forward to, again, House of the Dragon, which just came out this past weekend, the first one. So I want to get back into that too.
What are they on now? Season 3, you said?
3,
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah, awesome. Well, let's kick it over to Jamie, our guest. So I guess just to kind of start things off, how did you originally get into Game of Thrones?
Yeah, accidentally.
Nice.
So coincidentally, maybe the day or the day after, my niece came home from the hospital. So when she was born, I stopped by my sister's house to drop off some stuff. And she said, we're having people over to watch this show because we have HBO and they don't. So they had a few friends stopping by and they said, you want to stick around and watch the show? And so I watched the first episode and then immediately went and got books. And
Nice.
so I was hooked from the beginning and started reading the books, well ahead of when the show was keeping pace with them. And so then by the time the 5th book came out, I was caught up and ready for that one to be released. So right away, it drew me in, and I had no knowledge of it beforehand. So
see, I would have guessed that you saw that you read the books before you watched the series, but it
No.
wasn't. You discovered the series first.
Nope.
There we go.
same way I did Lord of the Rings. First movie, and I was like, I better go get some
I mean,
books.
yeah,
That's funny.
I feel like that's our generation.
Yeah.
Like Nick too,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
For
movies first
Uh,
for Lord of the Rings.
for Lord of the Rings, that's probably,
Okay,
yeah.
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 It's a backwards way to go
Yeah.
about it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Very
Well,
cool.
then you've kind of it's nice when you can almost, because then you're not. I think I've said this before. I feel like when you read the book, you're automatically just like you're spoiled. You want
Sure.
it to fill in this gap of what you hope it's going to be, and then you're setting yourself up to be disappointed. That's the key thing when you do books first. But when you can discover the movie or the series, and you're like, I'm just watching this as its own thing, you can kind of appreciate it for what it is and not be constantly making that comparison to the written works of it.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
think
There's
a lot
something to be said. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. What so obviously you fall in love with the series, you read the books. What is it about like the world that kind of keeps you coming back?
Yeah, so in general, I am a big fantasy literature genre reader. So, and for me, it's usually the world building that gets me in those series. So, the richer, the deeper the lore is always what draws me in. And this one, it's very history based too. So if you are kind of a history nerd, then some of the events within the series, the Red Wedding was based on a real event in Scottish history called the Black Dinner. And the Starks and the Lannisters are a lot like the War of the Roses with the Yorks and the, I can't say Lancasters, Lancasters.
Lancasters.
So,
I never really knew that.
yeah, so he draws on a lot of like medieval European history for, the Wall, like Hadrian's Wall, and the Wildlings are like the Celtic warriors who fought against the Romans. And, even a little bit like in Essos, when you get into the other continent that's in this world, it's a lot like on the Roman Empire kind of feel. So if you like history and you like, the kind of world building in the fantasy genre, it's really easy to get drawn into this series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very cool. I mean, there are so many, huge popular fantasy series out there now. Like, I don't know, I guess what is about Game of Thrones that kind of stands out from these other like popular fantasy series?
Yeah, so this one, I know Ben has mentioned a couple of times, the political intrigue and the romance and that kind of stuff. I think it draws a lot of people in who wouldn't otherwise be interested in fantasy. And, it's a lot of the alliances and rivalries and that kind of stuff, I think is pretty relatable as far as, the world we live in today. So I think it has a lot more broad appeal than some of the more high fantasy kind of writings.
I think that it does a great job of, though it is set in a fantasy world, it feels very real, and just the characters, how they act, like they are all very self-motivated. And like, I mean, again, like given our current political climate and stuff like that, it just feels like it's very reminiscent of that. And the fact that it's in the fantasy world just is like a backseat, as opposed to like, like Lord of the Rings or something else that's like, that's the forefront of like, these mystical creatures, this mystical place. Like it happens to be in that world, but it's about very real things.
There is magic, but it's not focused on the magic. It's focused on the human relationships. And
I was thinking how like the books themselves, I was always interested, like when I started reading the first one, and how it was very obvious that I don't know if George R.R. Martin like knew that he wanted to have it. I guess it's a dream of anybody. Like, I want to make a movie or a series off of my novel or whatever. But like, just the way that it's written is very cinematic.
Yeah.
It's the chapters are starting off with the characters, and then that it's. I mean, almost, I don't know, like they're telling that character story in that chapter, and then they'll jump over, and this is what's going on with this character today.
Yeah.
And I guess that's, that's books in general, but like something about it just very much sets up this scene by scene of what's happening, that they can jump from this story and then, oh, well, it's at the same time, this is going on. And I don't know. It's very cinematic to me. It has that feel.
And he has done screenwriting as part of his background. I don't know exactly what all his credits are, but I know he wrote for the was it in the 80s, the Beauty and the Beast?
I remember that too. Yeah, I was just seeing that in his credits.
Crazy.
Like,
Wow.
what? Yeah,
Every time I know that fact, I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember watching that as a kid.
Yeah.
Do you guys know who, or I guess what he was inspired by for the Game of Thrones?
I think a lot of it was actual history
Okay,
for
yeah.
some of these, the political factions and that kind of stuff. I think he really drew heavily on history, and I think he said that before, that was where a lot of his inspiration came from. And then dragons. I don't know.
And dragons.
And dragons.
And again, like the interesting thing is there are 3 dragons alive at the time of the main story, but like we don't know that. And so again, while it's a fantastical world where these things exist, they're not like the forefront, like they're not the main characters.
And technically, there aren't any alive when we start the story.
You were correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we think they're extinct, and
Yeah.
yeah.
But like Nick talking about the book switching back from chapter to chapter to chapter, like from different characters' perspectives, reminded me like, who would you even say the main character is? Like, it's not like a lot of things out there where there's like one character, one narrative we're following, and then there's like occasional branching off things.
In the book, I don't think there are main characters. In the series, obviously they want, it follows the Starks, but I mean, like it doesn't always come across that way. I don't think in the books that's the main characters.
Yeah. Our first POV chapter is Bran. From a main character perspective, we do have the prologue with the Men of the Night's Watch and the Wildlings, but Bran is our first POV character, so we do get his perspective first. But I think in the show, it's a lot more especially in the first season. It's a lot more stark.
I almost think that they had to do it that way because they're the one redeeming family, it seems like. And
True.
to some extent, yes.
Almost the one redeeming character.
Well, yeah, Ned.
At
Yeah.
certain points.
Rest in peace, Ned.
Yeah.
He does die in everything. That's the joke, right?
Yeah.
That's
Oh wait, spoiler.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Yeah, we're talking season 1 here, buddy. But,
2011.
Sean Bean.
Yes.
Like
Oh,
again,
I love Sean Bean.
yeah, again, just like he dies in the first movie of
Yeah,
of
that's
Lord of the
true.
Rings.
You're right about that.
He dies in this.
He doesn't die in National Treasure.
I thought he did die.
He
No.
should.
No, okay. I just remember him being the bad guy.
I
But
don't know.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. No.
Does he just get arrested?
Yeah, he gets
Ah,
arrested.
Gotcha. I feel like it wasn't even like a Mission Impossible 2 and
it was. Oh no, it was. He was in James Bond. He was
Okay.
in Goldeneye.
Oh, he
was?
I was
Okay,
sitting
yeah.
there thinking, I'm like, I know he was in something recently because I thought,
recently.
well, no, I was just sorry. I was watching it recently.
Okay.
I was thinking it recently because of our episode.
Yes,
on
yep.
James Bond. So
Oh,
shout out
all right, yeah,
back in.
plug
That's a
that, yeah.
callback back to James Bond because he was in Goldeneye, and you know what's funny when I recognized him, I wasn't thinking Game of Thrones. I was actually thinking National Treasure. I saw
Wow.
You didn't even think Lord of the
Lord of
Rings.
the
It was
Lord of the
National
Rings.
Treasure.
I
Wow.
went
Okay.
straight National Treasure.
Yeah, that you're a true millennial for that.
I guess so. That was the first thing that came to mind. I'm like, yeah, that's the bad guy from National Treasure.
That's so funny. Wow.
Oh my word.
Does he live longer as a bad guy than he does as a good guy?
It seems like it. I think honestly.
He's got better
Boromir's
luck.
hard to pinpoint exactly
Mm-hmm.
which side he's on. I
We'll
guess
go
he's a good
chaotic
guy when he
neutral.
dies. Yeah,
Chaotic neutral.
Yeah.
That's funny.
good.
Where are we at?
Well, do you want to go over our starter
Yeah,
pack, Nick?
let's do that. So, as I said, there is a lot of different stuff that you could dive into with Game of Thrones. Where would you recommend somebody start?
I would recommend starting with the HBO series, kind of the classic. I know that the book started first, but I think that the series has a lot broader appeal as far as,
Sure.
are you into fantasy or not? Or you would get a lot more out of the show if you're not super into reading fantasy books. But and despite, the feelings that people had when it ended, it was a really well received show, and it really reached, it's in the cultural zeitgeist so much that
Yeah.
people who don't care about it know things about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, yeah, that's a great point. Because, in the 90s, early 2000s, I never heard of Game of Thrones, ever. The books or anything. And then it's like, yeah, the show was so impactful. And honestly, it's kind of impressive because it was never a primetime show, right? It was just
And just
HBO Max. Yeah.
It was on HBO.
So even that by itself,
Sunday
being on an
nights.
exclusive platform is, it's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
I was probably HBO's like biggest money earner in
Oh,
a
I'm
long
sure.
time.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm sure.
I was just thinking, it was really because the first couple of seasons would have been before streaming was much of a thing for sure. So like it would have been
Possibly.
Yeah, it was on the HBO channel.
right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Really? Okay. Wow.
That's
that's
when
thinking
I'm watching
HBO
it.
Max,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
streaming.
Yeah, no.
HBO.
Okay.
It
Wow.
certainly
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Because I was just thinking, I'm like, that's part of the reason why I don't think that I saw. Because I don't even know when they came out with like the streaming service specific to HBO. That was much later.
Yeah.
And so the way that I ended up watching most of them ended up being like getting the DVD box set after the season had already gone all the way through, and then watching those. Like that was how I experienced
The
it. 'cause
dark
I-
ages.
Real callback. Yeah.
I'm not rich. I didn't have an HBO subscription.
See, that's why you have to have a friend who
Or parents who, yeah.
And now I don't even want to pay for HBO Max
Now.
because it's gotten so expensive.
We don't need to get
Yeah.
on that soapbox.
Sorry. So we got a starting point. I don't know. Where do you? Would you? I guess I'll throw it out here, Ben, because you've at least experienced it. Would you agree? Start somebody with the series over the books.
I would agree. Just because, again, like I think it's the most approachable, and I think that like they do such a good job. Like Jamie said, like except maybe the last season, it was just so well received. Like it's so intriguing. All the actors are incredible. Like the effects for the time, especially, were amazing, and cinematography. Like it has a little bit of everything. So yeah, that's an easy way to get into it.
I do remember having to make a slideshow for my friend though to help her understand which character was
That's
which.
funny.
Oh,
But she had a cheat sheet. It was like
I had to look up family trees
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Like it's hard to follow a
Yeah.
little bit like that. But again, there's enough resources out there now
yeah.
that you can follow it. Yeah.
I was in surprisingly like despite the fact there are so many characters, there are some times where it feels that those like with so many characters that you're following, it feels convoluted. And at least from my end, like I've never been, I don't know, I guess confused by like I wasn't, you know what I mean? Like I did, the characters are memorable enough that when it came back to them, I wasn't like, oh, I forgot who this person was or whatever.
Yeah.
Like something about, I don't know if it's just because the show's so good or whatever, or just the quality of it, but I never necessarily felt completely lost. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you definitely have to be paying attention, but like you can, I don't know, maybe that's just me because I
Yeah.
have had other shows where there are a lot of characters, and I do get like I'm like this is too many. Like I can't keep up with all this. But
I think it helps a lot that everything's divided into families,
Yeah.
into houses.
yeah.
And
And
they've all
so-
got colors.
Yeah, they
So
all-
you're like, oh, she's red. She's probably Lannister. You
Yeah,
know, or
exactly.
maybe
They-
Targaryen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we usually go at this point and talk about our elevator pitch, our impassioned plea, Jamie. So if you had to convince somebody in 30 seconds to a minute why they should watch or participate in the Game of Thrones fandom, what would you say to them? And you can feel free to use the camera. Mikey might bring some music in at some point. I just don't want to surprise you there. So it just makes it seem more emotional, you know?
Gotcha. It is an impassioned
Yeah.
plea for someone to jump into this fandom. Yeah. Yeah, I would say, you know, if you like intrigue, you like mystery, you like a little bit of drama and backstabbing and any sort of human relationships you can find, it's definitely a show for you. And if you like dragons, there's dragons, you know. I think that there's just a lot for everybody to choose from as far as what appeals to them and what would draw them in. So.
Nice. Yeah.
Beautifully
Wow.
said.
Great.
Memorable characters, I would say. But don't get too attached to them. That would be my addition to that.
Yeah.
You never know when you
Yeah,
might
do
lose
not get
the-
attached to anyone. Yeah.
If you like a good plot twist,
That's true.
they'll get you there.
That is true. Well, I think that brings us up to our break.
Yeah,
here,
we're at
so
the
we'll be
halfway
back
point.
at and have a little bit more to this discussion.
Sounds good. Wow.
Doesn't hype you up, does it?
No.
It shouldn't.
It really brings me down.
So
A lot
This-
of people died before
yeah.
that song was written.
one of the most memorable things that we can talk to, especially like as we get into like fandom cultures, is the Red Wedding, which you've mentioned. One of the most dramatic twists to an episode on TV kind of ever. So many people died.
Wow.
So many main characters died.
Yeah.
Which and like usually the show ends going to like the credits theme and stuff like that. This episode was like complete silence for like 30 seconds after the show was over, and then it goes into the Reigns of Castamere, which is the Lannisters theme. Yeah.
Also
That's,
based on the extermination of an entire house.
Well, yeah. Yes.
So who and all dies at the Red Wedding? I don't even remember. I know.
Robb Stark and his wife,
You know
Catelyn
nothing,
Stark.
Jon Snow.
Okay.
Spoilers.
I mean those are the main characters.
Yeah.
Tully survives, doesn't he?
I can't remember if it's Blackfish that's
Edmure?
there or Edmure.
Ed-
No,
I think
Edmure's there
Edmure's-
because he's supposed to marry
Yeah.
one of the Frey
Well, it's his
girls.
wedding, yeah.
Yeah, he survives. Yeah. And it's a shock because drawing on medieval culture, the guest right is really important. You know, once someone's eating your bread and salt, they're under your protection, and
Right. and then
that was
it's
not honored
betrayal,
in this
yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
But there's, I think, one of the best visuals of the entire series after that when they parade Jon's
Yep.
body with Grey Wind's head.
You mean Rob's body?
Or, sorry, Rob's body with Grey Wind's head with his
Yeah.
iron crown on it,
That-
and it's just so haunting.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so
100%.
beautiful. They did a great job with that.
I don't remember that part.
Yeah.
I think that's technically the start of the next episode
that's
because that's
true,
when
yeah.
Arya has
It's
made it to
post-wedding.
to where the wedding is, knowing that the Starks were there, and then they see her brother's
She's trying
body.
to reunite with her mother and her brother.
Yeah, and
Doesn't
she
go
sees
well.
her brother's body carried out with his wolf's head stuck to his body. So yeah, dark stuff.
that it is.
Michael, we convinced you to watch it?
Yeah.
It's so shocking. You just really don't expect. And even though Martin takes the kill your darlings directive really seriously, as we saw with Ned Stark in the first season, you just still are not expecting so many main characters to meet their end at that.
Especially where it is in the overall overarching plot of the show. Like Robb Stark has been named King of the North. Yeah. He's built up this giant army. He's had a couple of military victories. He's heading south to go take on the Lannisters. And then this is what happens.
Looks like the Starks are on the up and up at that point.
And the Freys are not a super powerful house.
Oh, no, not at all. Yeah.
They're kind of weaselly.
Their whole thing is they have this bridge that they protect.
Yes.
And
I forgot about the bridge.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I really respect that they're willing to kill off main characters because in this day and age, 2026, you will never, ever have a main character killed off. Ever. It is literally impossible.
Yeah.
So I really like it's making me want to watch the show.
The stakes are a lot higher.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to lose.
I'll say this though, after the Red Wedding, are there that many main characters that are lost? Because at that point, like I feel like it follows the same set. Like I was kind of worried after the Red Wedding that I was going to lose, like, I mean, fan favorites like Tyrion or Jon, or who else?
I guess
we do lose Jon momentarily.
Valid. Yep. Spoiler alert.
Same thing. Like, I mean, but those ended up being the main characters later on, and they I think all of them make it to the end, right? Yeah, well, actually that's not true, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, by the time we get to the end, we're losing a lot of main characters because everything's kind of crumbling down around us. But that was a point it should not have happened, So
yeah. Mikey, one thing we haven't mentioned is like, okay, so like we talked about all this like political intrigue and whatnot. It's as you get further on in the series, it serves as a distraction almost to what they find is the real threat, which is a giant zombie army that's approaching from the north. So it starts to become like a different war in that way, where like some people are like, hey, we need to look this way. There's something bigger coming, and everyone's like, nah, don't worry about that. Like, I want the throne. Yeah.
And then the real most disappointing episode for me, which was the one that they built up so much, the huge battle that takes place at the, oh my gosh, is it Winterfell, right?
The Battle of the Bastards. Yeah.
So which one? Battle of the Bastards, or when the knights?
With the night king.
The one that's so dark that you cannot see anything at all, and they build it up. It was this big, huge thing. So it was. I remember when it was in production and all this stuff. They talked about how they spent 8 weeks, every single night going out there and having to film all this stuff. And I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. It's going to be amazing. And it was like in the post-production, they just didn't bother to like backlight or bring something in there to like make it so you can see what's going on. And that was the true disappointment for me anyway.
Yeah.
I guess
that's fair.
Well, that's a good segue into our hot takes section of the fandom culture. So let's get it out of the way. The biggest hot take of this fandom, the final episode and the way that the series ends. Jamie, what's your overall opinion on it?
Yeah, so I think the final season in general felt just really rushed.
Yeah.
We got fewer episodes in the last 2 seasons than we had in any previous seasons, and it felt like so much time had taken place across the previous seasons, and then we just got crammed in so much action, so much plot in the past, in the last 6 episodes, So the feeling was rushed. It felt like, the showrunners didn't want to be there anymore. But then by the time you get to the final episode, which you're never going to please everyone with a final episode. No one's ever going to be happy with the way a series ends. It's just not possible. But again, it just felt like they just kind of phoned it in.
Yeah, a little bit.
And people walked away feeling kind of ripped off, I think, was the main vibe at the end of that. I mean, they could have ended it the same way if they had wanted to, and I think still had a better reaction if they'd have done it better service.
Yeah, stretched it out a little bit. Yeah, not because again, like they cram like 2 whole wars into the final 3 episodes essentially, and so it's a lot.
Yeah, and they've spent 6 seasons building up all the stuff that's supposed to happen, and then it just all happens at once.
Yeah.
Are there any fans out there that love the finale?
I've not heard them.
I haven't heard them. The complainers are always louder, but I definitely, I was telling Ben that I was reviewing some of the like synopses that people wrote up after episodes aired, and the comments on the final synopsis for the one I was reading, the synopsis had, just a guy who was writing his take on it, but it was mostly like what happened. And then the comments on it were kind of 50-50. There were some people that were like, okay, you know, that's what I expected or whatever. But no one that was glowing reviews. And then there was a lot of like, man, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I say that? I mean, I truly did enjoy the second to last episode. Like that was, I thought it was really good.
See, Nick, I was saying you are the one that I think would actually like the finale. I mean, out of anyone I know.
So one thing to understand throughout like why I think a lot of people were so angry about the finale is the fate of Daenerys Targaryen. That was the one that like when people bring it up, it's like that's ridiculous.
I have a lot to say about that.
And to me, it made perfect sense.
Yeah.
She was on that path.
Yes.
Agreed. And like having like my whole thing is like so I watched the finale. I didn't touch it for like 2 years. Came back and rewatched the whole series. And they do lay out like her madness kind of building. And that's like, I think that was the biggest thing is like, because these were like over a year between seasons and stuff like that, you don't get that full build up. And so like, when you go back and rewatch it, there's definitely some moments of, so Daenerys starts with nothing, Michael. She's got a royal name, but she's an outcast because everyone's hunting her because they want to kill off that family. And so she's married into like these wandering nomad like army, and she ends up taking control of them through power, like, and then rescues a bunch of slaves and builds up her army more and more.
She is one of the, I mean, from the beginning, you're kind of rooting for her because she's, you know, the underdog persona and actually has a moral compass compared to some of the other characters that are here. Like there's a lot of the audience is behind her and wants to see the happy ending with her.
I do think that that's why like so many people were disappointed, because again, if she's one of the main characters, one of the main moral things to latch onto in this show, and then all of a sudden the very last episode, the biggest thing is she kind of goes crazy with power, and like Jon Snow, her ally / lover / nephew.
It's normal in this series.
Yeah, well, they didn't know until very, very late to the relationship.
Kind of a Luke and Leia situation.
A little bit, yeah.
They go a lot further.
Well, because Jon Snow was born as a bastard, and so he didn't know who his lineage was, et cetera, et cetera. But like, no one did really. But yeah, so then like that just the complete madness that took over. Everyone's like, wait, that's not Daenerys. That's not the Daenerys we know and like have been rooting for. But like the signs have been there.
Meanwhile, her father was a king.
Literally
he was the last
Mad
Targaryen king, and he was called the Mad King. So they're showing you that she has his madness.
Yeah. And I mean, what's the phrase with Targaryens every time a Targaryen is born?
The coin, and it's either madness or greatness, or whatever, however it's exactly phrased. Yeah.
And that's what the House of Dragon is about. Like it's before Aerys Targaryen, but like
way before, like
way
1,000
before?
years before.
1,000?
So you get to a Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and Egg, the little boy in that, is Daenerys's great grandfather.
Okay.
And then in the House of the Dragon, like the sort of the main characters are his great 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 grandparents. So we're going way further back.
Way back,
in House of the Dragon.
Did they
like the Starks aren't even a thing?
Wasn't
they're there, but
they are
not
okay.
Was there a planned series at one point that was supposed to be like the one generation before? Maybe that's what it was.
There have been
Robert's
several.
Rebellion.
Yeah, there have been several spin-offs that were rumored and then killed.
Yeah.
Like there was supposed to be one about following Jon Snow after the series ends. There was supposed to be one.
Is that killed?
It might still be up in the air, but from what I heard, it was kind of killed. I think part of it. I think part of it had to do with Kit Harington and some stuff that happened there. But yeah,
he's busy.
Yeah. Well, he was supposed to be big in Marvel, but then that didn't happen.
I don't even know that. Who was he going to play?
Yeah,
in
who
Marvel?
was he going to be?
He
in
was going to be.
I can look it up.
I can't remember. He like
Michael.
he involves a sword, and it was during the Eternals.
Oh, okay.
He played someone's love interest in. I think it was the Eternals, and he was supposed to like become essentially the king of the Black Knight or something like that.
I don't know that I think I watched part of the Eternals. And
Look
never
up,
finished
yeah,
it.
look up Kit Harington.
Yeah, it was the Eternals. He played Dane Whitman, who is the Black Knight.
Yeah.
Nice.
So even that was supposed to be a thing, and then Marvel, went a different direction, and so that might have been part of it. Like he might have signed a big contract with Marvel, and then.
Well, there's been half a dozen other show spinoffs that have been greenlit and then dropped, I think. So, yeah.
So we talked a little bit about what are your overall takes on House of the Dragons? This is like a kind of like our quote unquote outside the fandom sort of thing, and it's like tangential.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So with both of those spin-off series, I like them both for different reasons. You know, House of the Dragon, we're way back further in history, and we're dealing with a lot of the political intrigue that is the Targaryen house. It deals a lot with succession and, you know, should the oldest male heir who's further down in line inherit the throne over the female heir who's been named, and there's a lot of backstabbing and that sort of thing, and
A lot more dragons.
A lot of dragons.
Yes.
A lot more dragons.
Yeah.
Although,
So
sort of spoilers, although we know that there's no living dragons at the beginning of our current series, most of them don't make it out of the dance with the dragons.
Yeah. So it becomes a civil war amongst the Targaryen family.
Yeah.
And,
the Greens versus the Blacks.
Yeah.
And all based on succession, who should sit the throne.
Yep. And yeah, so every side has dragons, and so it's a giant war of dragons.
Yeah.
So yeah, as Jamie said, that
when does the War of Dragons actually take place? Was that in the
It's starting
season, or
at the end of the second season. So
Okay.
the Battle of Rook's Rest is where we really see like dragons fighting dragons.
Okay.
And I thought
That was-
it was really well done.
that was a heart
I cried
breaking episode.
so-
Yeah.
I had
yeah.
so I watched the series with my parents, which gets awkward
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
because
Been there, yep.
it's HBO, so there's a lot
Yes.
of nudity, there's a lot of sex scenes and stuff. But they're like, you have to watch it with us because we don't know what's happening. So you have to tell us like, who's that guy? What's
Yeah.
he doing? Why is he here? And so we were watching the end of that, and I cried so hard. I had to tell them, I understand that dragons aren't real and that that's not a real animal that died, but I was so upset. But I thought they did. I thought they treated it really well. I enjoyed that, the end to that season, and I'm excited for the next season to come out. There's been a lot of hot takes on House of the Dragon as well. There's a lot of people who don't think the showrunners are treating the material like it should be treated. I'm enjoying it. I think it's great.
As there always will be.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if this is true or not, but at least to me. So as you got into the later seasons of Game of Thrones, it became very, very plot focused. There was less gratuitous nudity and
Yes.
sex
yeah,
scenes.
I'd agree with that.
And it feels like they made a 180. Like when I started into House of Dragon, I felt like they went back to season 1 Game of Thrones level nudity and sex
I
scenes.
do think
and
they
stuff
front
like
load
that.
it to get people in.
Yeah,
I really do. I really think
I
they
do
front load
think
it.
that that's
Yeah.
what,
Yeah.
especially the original series,
Yeah.
was like the big shock and
Yeah.
awe factor
Yeah.
of, you know, like, oh, well, they're having this discussion in a brothel.
There's
and
so
there's
many
just
brothel
like, yeah,
scenes.
there's so many brothel
Same
scenes.
with
Yeah.
House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
So many brothel scenes, and then they're like, "Oh, let's actually do some real stuff."
I
Yeah.
think that's what like surprised me when I
Yeah.
started watching the news, because
Yeah.
I guess I was so used to the later
Yeah.
seasons of Game of Thrones. And I was like, okay, you know, like it's been very plot driven, whatever, and then
Yeah.
it came very much. It's like, all right, there's
Yeah.
you know boobies in your
Yeah,
face.
well, you know, especially when HBO was one of the few things you had to pay separately for. They're like, we need sex and we need violence, or else
Yeah.
people are not going to pay the separate fee. So I think it kind of became a little hallmark of their shows. But I think the same thing in House
Sure.
of Dragons. They kind of back off on it a little bit and start getting into like actual
Do they?
plot.
Okay.
Yeah, season
They
2
front
especially,
load it.
like
That's
yeah,
hilarious.
as the war is picking up, especially because like the front half is all taking sides and figuring out like who's going to be with who, and then as they get into the war, then
Yeah. And you
that's
gotta
more
make the
focused.
heirs that
Yes,
you're fighting over too.
very valid actually.
That's funny.
Well, why don't we?
It jumps in time too, right? And then
Yeah,
what-
there's like a time skip in there.
Yeah, so you have, and there's also opinions about the actors that played the characters young and who's playing them old and that sort of thing. Although you've got Matt Smith
I was gonna say, is he
throughout,
still in it?
Yeah.
looking like the Walmart Witcher. He's Daemon Targaryen. He's a character you love to hate. So
Yeah, absolutely.
he
I mean,
does
He's
I
got
love
some
Matt
redeeming
Smith.
moments though, which
He-
has been
he
very
does?
interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Millie Alcock, Supergirl,
Yeah, Supergirl. Yeah.
is in the first
Oh,
She's
season.
the young.
okay.
She's the
Rhaenyra,
young
Yeah.
Nice.
Rhaenyra?
Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
There's also everyone's name is like a variation on the same thing.
Yes.
So you've got Rhaenyra and Rhaenys, who are
Uh-huh.
aunt and niece kind of sort of thing, and then you've got 3 Aegons and an Aemond and a Daemon.
Honestly, that's kind of like Lord of the Rings.
A little bit, yeah.
Everyone's got the same name with one different letter.
Nick, well, why don't we start shifting into our
Yeah.
bigger discussion about the main Game of Thrones series and kick us off with some Would You Rathers?
Let's do it. We got a 50-50 here, so you got to pick one of them. Would you rather support House Stark or House Targaryen?
The Starks seem like a more redeeming house. So, but the Targaryens do have dragons. So, I mean, I think I'd have to go Stark.
Okay.
Serve as Hand of the King or Commander of the Night's Watch?
I think they both have to deal with some really unsavory characters, but I'd say the ones that they Hand of the King deals with probably smell better. So
I mean, Hand of the King is a little more glamorous too.
Absolutely.
It's
A lot more
power.
pressure though,
Yeah.
and
Right.
power and pressure.
Yeah.
So the commander of the Night's Watch, Michael, like, so there's a giant wall at the north of this world that's supposed to be keeping out the wildlings, the barbarians, and these zombies.
The others.
Yeah, and but all the people that work on the Night's Watch and at the wall are prisoners usually. Like instead of like getting killed, you can go serve your life in as a watchman.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah,
see.
they take no wife. They father no children.
Mhm.
They wear no crowns. They
Yep.
hold no lands.
There is some respect to it though, like
Yes.
that they are. So even though they are prisoners, there's like it commands some level of
To some people.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a military service
Dignity?
where you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good word. Yeah, dignity.
yeah, you're protecting the realm.
Would you rather have Varys' network of spies or Littlefinger's?
I definitely would go with Varys because he has children's spies. I think they're way more inconspicuous.
His little songbirds.
And yes, his birds. And I think just in general, he seems like he has better intentions than Littlefinger. Like
True.
I don't know for sure, but I think he's a more scrupulous guy if he can be as the Master of Whispers.
So much as he can be.
Yeah.
I feel like you do like him better. Littlefinger, I at least for me, anyways, couldn't stand him.
Not a
Ugh.
likable character.
Yeah.
No.
100%.
Would you rather have a dragon or be able to warg?
That's a tough one. I'd rather have a dire wolf than a dragon.
Okay.
I guess we should
Okay.
say this so
Yeah.
for anybody that has it maybe
Yeah.
isn't aware
Yeah.
what is warg. If it's for Michael, I guess.
Yes.
He's-
Yeah, so I'm always representative of our larger audience who doesn't know all the
Of the,
all the terms.
non-fan. Yeah. So it does show up in Lord of the Rings as well, but it's the ability to put your consciousness into an animal. And
Ah.
specifically wolves for the Stark family, they can warg into their dire wolves and experience the world as the wolf. I think I would go warg, but I don't like the idea of warging into the animal. I want a dire wolf, but I don't want to do that
Okay.
to them. Based
No.
on how it turned out for Hodor, I don't think it's
Oh.
comfortable for the wolf.
Or
would you rather be mentored by Tywin Lannister or Elena Tyrell?
Easy. Elena Tyrell. Am I allowed to swear? She's a bad one of the best lines in the whole series when she says to Jami, "Tell Cersei, I want her to know it was me."
Yes.
Well, it's not in the book delivered that way, but it was delivered so well in the show. It was
Yep.
perfect. Yeah.
Would you rather study with the Maesters at the Citadel or the Faceless Men at the House of Black and White?
Faceless
There's a-
men are way cooler. Yeah.
Matches your rogue tendencies
Yes.
as well.
As
Yeah.
I will refuse to play any D&D character other than a rogue.
That
Definitely
was
Faceless men.
intriguing.
Yeah. Yeah. The Citadel, it's just a bunch of old dudes.
Fair.
Very fair, yeah.
Yeah, the what is it? So I didn't even completely understand. I mean, I feel like they're meant to be mysterious in some way, but I'm sure there's lore that I'm not aware of. I just remember the entire storyline with Arya and the Faceless Man. I was just always so confused about
They
what was
cover
going
it
on.
way more in the books.
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. It's an assassin.
Sure.
Basically.
Okay.
But the assassins, Michael, have the ability to shapeshift their face to look like anyone.
and
And they like
kind of an Ethan
they
Hunt
can
situation.
kind of, yeah.
Yeah, but it's also adjacent to a religion as
Yeah.
well.
Mhm.
So there's like a little bit of worship to a deity who's kind of
Kind of the god of death,
Gavik. Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting.
Would you rather spend a year at the Wall or a year sailing with the Greyjoys?
Ugh, the Greyjoys creep me out.
and that's why I put it up
I'm
there. It's
going
like,
with the
yeah.
Ugh, creepy dudes. Although they do have a really cool house words. We do not sow. Those are cool house words, but they're creeps, every one of them.
They are
so,
creeps.
yeah.
I can't think of a single Greyjoy that I'm like, oh
No.
yeah, I would like to spend time with them.
No.
Well, what was it? Theon had some redeeming qualities eventually.
For like
That was-
4.5 minutes.
After so much happened to him,
Fair.
it took cutting off part of him
Yeah.
for him to get there.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, larger discussion questions now. Who wants to kick us off?
I'll jump in here. What character do you find to have the most kind of interesting arc over the series?
Yeah, I think it's hard. Really, all the Stark children. They start out in extremely different places than they end up. So I'd say probably Jon of all of them, but and him starting out as not even really a Stark child kind of adds to that. But yeah, I think each of them goes through the story in a way that you almost don't expect. So
I'm surprised that's who you went with, because for me, it's for sure Tyrion.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he's the fan favorite for a reason, but like I don't know, his change over the course of the series was fascinating. You know, from being somebody that you didn't necessarily root for to becoming this. I don't know. The ultimately, I would say he is kind of like the true North morality a little bit of the series in a lot of ways, especially when, you know, things go south with Daenerys.
Yeah, he definitely is. By the time he's her hand, the voice of morality that we need.
Yeah,
but
he doesn't start that way.
yeah,
No.
yeah, he does. I mean, as far more just kind of in less consequential ways.
Sure.
He's not a moral character, but I never really rooted against him.
Oh, yeah,
I always
no.
thought he was. You know, he's got a tiny bit of that little the wise guide or teacher character that I always love. You know, the Obi-Wan and
A little bit. Yeah, he's
you
got
know,
that.
he'll
He's
talk
definitely-
to people into
yeah.
saying, you know, trust yourself and do what you need to do, and the rest of the world be damned. You
Yeah.
know?
And at least in the books, they definitely represent him as much more of a like well-read person. Like he's the one who like knows so much about all the families and the history of the world and stuff like that. Because Michael, for context, he was born a dwarf. So like he's kind of like an outcast of his family, and like so like he's always kind of picked on, pushed down, etc. So he kind of like he's often off gallivanting and doing whatever the heck he wants, but like he does genuinely put a lot into studying and like learning about everything.
Nice.
Well, along those lines, what character do you feel like had the most disappointing end of the arc?
I think also Jon Snow.
Okay.
You know, just the way I read. So a lot of the story is based on prophecy and interpreting, you know, things that we think might happen. And there's an arc of the prince who was promised,
Yep.
who's supposed to be the one that's to guide this world through the threat of the others and the long winter and that sort of thing. And you get the idea that it should be Jon.
Yeah.
Based on, you know, A Song of Ice and Fire, and he is the product of the House of Fire and the House of Ice, and so you expect a big dramatic ending for him. And we don't have the end of the books, so
Yeah, it could be coming.
fingers crossed.
Who knows?
But in the series,
In the
like in the series,
it's a
at
real
least, yeah.
disappointing end.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So he ends up. Spoiler alert. He ends up
You
killing
know nothing, Jon Snow.
Daenerys and his lover, and just basically gives up everything and just goes back north of the wall, just like to go live out in the wild.
Right.
And it's just
Wow.
kind of like, okay. And again, yeah, and like the last couple seasons, like he's really building up in like respect of others, and like he's taking on leadership and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, he's like, no,
Yeah.
I'll see you guys.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's disappointing.
Yeah.
For me, the most disappointing arc actually is Jami Lannister.
I didn't want to see him. Well, what part of it?
Well, specifically the very, very end, how he dies. So they're building up. Jami and his sister, who was the queen for a long time, have like a weird, a weird relationship of more than just familial.
They're twins.
They're twins, but they also
weird.
Yeah.
They have 3 children together.
yes. Yeah, there's some of that, but I mean, again, tying into historical things, it was like for a lot of these families, at least how they write it, a consolidation of power. Like we're gonna make this super Lannister, essentially.
Joffrey was a super Lannister. give him that.
Super in some ways, but anyways, so like he's just always sticking up for his sister in the first couple seasons, and then they start to like take that away from him, and we start to see like a more noble self, like a more someone who's thinking outside of just his family and stuff like that. And they're building that up, and then the very last episode, he runs back to Cersei's arms, and they die together. And I'm just like,
Again, makes a lot of sense.
it
Though.
does, but it's just so disappointing.
Yeah.
Because again, they did so much work, and he like kind of has a will they won't they sort of thing with Brienne of Tarth, and like then all of a sudden he's just like, oh no, like my sister's about to die, I need to be with her. Like, again, it all makes sense. It's just disappointing.
I was rooting for Brienne and Tormund, though. So
I mean, yeah, Tormund.
one of my favorite characters.
I'm glad that you brought up Joffrey though, like because that's one that I wanted. So that was I wanted to I don't know, just bring up the fact that this kid no longer acts
Yeah.
because he was so good at
Yeah.
his job.
everyone hates him. Like
everyone hated him, and so because of that, he stepped out of the limelight. Doesn't do anything with acting anymore. And I don't know. It's mind-boggling, I guess. I don't know. I hate that we've talked about this before with other actors and stuff like that have been bullied out of roles and stuff like that. But I don't know. There's something to be said there, because even though yes, you do hate Joffrey, he plays him so incredibly well. Like it is.
I need to look him up.
Yeah,
incredible.
he's
Jack Gleason is the actor's name. Yeah.
He's also like
was in Batman.
Joffrey, very young him in Batman.
Yeah.
But no, he plays like Joffrey is very much like your typical spoiled brat prince who
he does such a good job with that
such
character.
A good job. Yeah. Who he's power hungry and thinks that he deserves everything and takes things from people in ridiculous ways sometimes. So
there's a couple of roles that I feel like the actor brought so much more to the character than was even in the book. You know, Jack Gleason is one of them with Joffrey, and Joffrey was a rich character in the book, so it's not, he had a lot to work with, and he still brought more to the role. I think Richard Madden playing Robb Stark brought way more to that role than was in the book. He did such a great job with it. And Olenna Tyrell, some of these characters that are they're good characters, but the actors get on the screen and they do so much more with them, and it's just really fun to see.
Whose turn is it? Mine?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we've kind of covered this a little bit, but I didn't know if there was any other plot twists you wanted to talk about. So the series is known for its plot twists, Michael, as we've already kind of led to. What are some of the things, or what's one that shocked you the most?
We could also say Joffrey's wedding and his
wedding.
death, the purple wedding. Yeah.
That was shocking.
That was well done and pretty surprising. I'll veer off a little bit from the main show though and go to A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and I won't say anything because I know it's real spoilers because it's happening right now. But the end of the first season, I think it might have been the penultimate episode, but we have a real good character death there that I was waiting for. It was one of those situations where I was like sitting there watching my parents, like, what's gonna happen? What are their faces gonna look like? I did like with the red wedding, that kind of thing. I'm like, I know what's coming.
Was that? I was under the impression that was a limited series. Is there going to be more than one?
I think there's going to be more than one.
Well, they're working on the next season right now, and I think it's scheduled to come out next year.
Oh, okay.
If I'm correct.
Yeah, I mean, the book itself is not very long, especially compared to Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what all they do with it. But
it does take place over a long period of time,
Sure,
though,
yeah.
so they could do a ton with it. And the little kid who plays Egg is the
Incredible.
most adorable thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
in my life.
So he's going to die eventually.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
not
die.
in,
No
not in
spoilers.
this series. Yeah.
We know the history, and he does not die.
Yes. He has to go become king.
Yes. My dog is named after him. He's so cute.
That's funny.
Oh, also, oh no, I started to say a different surprise, and now I've lost it in my brain.
Well,
That's
Nick,
all right.
Nick, do you have a favorite twist?
Ooh, I mean, I would definitely have to agree with you with Joffrey's death. That was definitely a shock. I was not expecting him to get killed off, especially with. I mean, anytime you got like a big bad in a show.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets taken out. Now that's the cool thing is that it does take over to, and even not, I mean, there's plenty of people that you root against in the show, but there are other evil characters that show up throughout the show that then you're like, okay, you know what? I lost the person that I love to hate. So who am I going to hate
more.
now?
Yeah.
There's more. You've got options, which is nice.
I will say, the one I thought of, it's not really a spoiler, I think, but the way they presented it was really great. Was The Mountain and the Viper, and that episode was paced so well. And I mean, you don't know what the outcome's going to be, so it's not really a spoiler. But the way that pans out, it shocked.
Yeah, that was a good one.
The spirit.
Then that involves someone I was going to bring up to Michael. You know whose career this really launched?
Who's that?
Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, we have
Are
Game
you
of Thrones
serious?
to thank for Pedro Pascal.
He was in like 6 episodes, maybe.
tops. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Darn you, Game of Thrones.
His death is.
But his death, he played the Viper.
Chef's kiss. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Wow.
He's a
I'm
great
really
character.
shocked
He does
by
a
that.
great job with
Oh,
the
yeah.
character. And
But this launched
Yeah.
his career. Like
Yeah.
he was
That's
a
crazy.
nobody when
Yeah.
it started, I feel like.
yeah, I never had seen
Oh
him
my
before.
gosh. Wow.
And then
That's
he's
good to
in
know.
everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
Literally everything.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
All right, well, we got time for one more question, so I'll ask the last one here. Oh, there's so many good questions on this. What
I'll keep talking till midnight. If you let me.
if you could change one thing about the show's ending? What would it be?
Yeah, specifically for me, I feel like the battle for the Iron Throne should have happened before the battle with the others. I think that felt more significant. The way that the story frames it, that's the bigger threat, that's the bigger
Absolutely,
problem,
yeah.
and that's what we should be more concerned about. And who wins the Iron Throne should have an effect on that battle. So that's the main thing I would switch up. And they could have come to the same ending a different way, but if they had done those two things in backwards order, to me it would have felt more true to the series.
Stretching it out longer, right? That's the
That would have
big
helped
key
too.
thing. Like just instead of that one last, you said six episodes.
6 episodes in the last
I mean, at least
season,
man, a full season at the
Yeah.
very least.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're right, there was just so much that happened. Were there any super episodes? I can't even remember. Were there?
I think they all started to be like over an hour by the
Yeah.
end,
Yeah.
but like I don't know if there's anything over like an hour and a half. There's
Yeah.
like hour 10, hour 15
Yeah,
probably.
I don't remember specific, but I don't think so.
Yeah, because like I mean, especially we two huge plot points of who's going to win the Iron Throne and how are they going to deal with the threat of the whites. Like, but covering both of those in 2 to 3 episodes, that it was too much. Like,
It was too much.
because we just went right from killing the Night King onto like, okay, well now we're going to go take over the throne
Yeah.
from the Lannisters, and
And the way
Yeah.
they did both of them felt like neither one mattered what happened in the end.
Yeah.
a little bit.
No, I would. I mean, that's a fair criticism when people come out and say that it was rushed. It was not. There was
Yeah.
not enough there that they could have. It should have gone on longer.
Yeah.
Truthfully, like
Yeah.
it should have gone on for 2 or 3 more seasons, and
People would have watched.
Yeah.
They didn't need to.
It's
you
the
know?
biggest show in the world.
Yeah.
Like,
why did it? Like, why did they decide to end it in one last big season? There, did they?
My understanding was the showrunners were moving on to different projects.
Is that
Yeah.
what it was?
Wow. That's a shame.
The two of them were signed up for a trilogy for Star Wars that got canceled. So
Yeah.
that I think that was part of it.
Wow.
I think part of it too was because they were starting to get to territory that George R. R. Martin hadn't covered at
Sure.
all. That like they're like, we don't know how much more we can do with
Yeah,
like
that makes sense.
so like they got, as we said, an outline from George R. R. Martin of like what he was thinking of for the ending, and so they kind of covered it. But like, filling in all those plot holes, all those other things, like that was a lot. And so they're just kind of like, maybe this is how we end it.
Yeah, I don't think he had
Yeah.
a plan
Oh,
to
no, he
fill
did
in those
not. Yeah.
plot holes either. So they
But
were
at
up
lea-
against a lot.
I mean, George R. R. Martin's no plan is better than sequel trilogies plan whenever they got there. I mean, it's what I mean. Like it's
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't
It's
agree
coming from
more.
a guy that
Yeah.
has not watched the show, but yeah.
I'm not the kind of person that likes to be negative about my fandoms, I
You're
enjoy
in
them
good
for a
company
reason.
with me.
I
Yeah.
respect you.
Yeah,
I
we
enjoy
respect
them for
that
a
here.
reason. And if there's new content, I'm excited to consume it. And if it's not exactly what I pictured, okay, well, let's move on. If all I really like is the books, I can just go back to the books.
There you go.
So I don't love to sit around and nitpick. This should have happened and that should have happened. But there are definitely things that would have made me, feel a little bit less sad at the ending.
Yeah. Nice.
Well, that brings us to our closing segment here a little bit. So, what are the next big things happening with the fandom? I know you've kind of alluded to House of Dragon. Is there anything else on the horizon for Game of Thrones?
Well, we have talked about a few nebulous ideas that there are other spinoffs coming out. We do have another season of Another of the Seven Kingdoms that's in production now, so we should see that soon, if not next year. And then the House of the Dragon season 3 just premiered yesterday as we record. So we've got more of what's already in production. As far as I know, I haven't heard anything that's brand new coming on the horizon, but
Yeah, I mean, like back to the Jon Snow thing. I know that they're still kicking that around. If Kit Harington and like some producers sign on, that could get greenlit easily. We talked about the Robert's Rebellion potentially being a series or like a one season sort of thing.
I'd love to see Aegon's Landing and
Oh yeah,
and see Westeros before they saw dragons.
yeah,
I think that would be a cool
yeah. Getting everyone's first glimpse of a dragon would be
and be able to
incredible. Yeah,
see Aegon the Conqueror and Balerion the Black Dread and
yeah.
in the flesh. We've seen a skull only.
I feel like there's also like one following Arya afterwards as just like an assassin. Like I feel like that was kicked out around too. But
Yeah, I think in the show she said she was sailing west.
Yeah.
To find out what's west of Westeros.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Which I don't know if that was necessary.
Yeah, one of the other, there's Westeros, and the other continent is Essos, as in east.
Yeah.
So, and that's east of Westeros.
Real
so,
creative.
Yeah.
East of Westeros.
On the line of Middle Earth, we know it.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, we always, I mean, we're just very appreciative that you came out,
Yeah,
Jami.
thank
Yeah.
you so much.
We could keep talking for several more hours, even if Mikey doesn't have anything to
Yeah.
contribute. So,
Yeah.
Well, he can take a nap.
Exactly.
We'll keep talking. Yeah. It's been so fun. Thanks, you guys.
absolutely. Thank you.
Well, where are we headed next is in the podcast realm.
Well, we're actually having our very first return guest.
It's
So
fun.
yeah, our friend Lindsay's coming back. She originally did.
Gilmore Girls.
Oh my gosh, that was a long time ago.
It was,
yeah.
Gilmore Girls episode. So she's coming to talk about Nick, the Jonas Brothers. I almost said Nick Jonas.
Well, I mean, that'll be part of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, this will be really interesting because
Yeah,
I kind of leaned towards this one because she's always telling me about the fandom. And so a big focal point, like a lot of times we cover the content itself of the fandom. This time I think we're going to have a big discussion around the fandom itself, which I'm looking forward to. I don't know much about other than what Lindsay's told me, but it sounds wild.
It's also our first band. So
Our first musical artist.
yeah,
Like,
that's
yeah.
true. We talk about John Williams every single episode, but this is an
There it
actual
is.
band.
Everybody
Yeah.
drink. Hold on. Whatever it is.
Get out your fandom bingo card. We said John Williams.
Yep, it has to come up in every episode.
Yeah, it does.
That's a goal.
He does. Yeah.
And with that, I feel like that's a good place to end us. So we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for listening.
Well, we hope you enjoyed hearing about today's fandom. Thanks for joining us. Give us a follow on Instagram or Threads at fof.pod to stay up to date with all the latest, and check out the video version on YouTube at Fandom of Fandoms. Have a fandom that you want us to dive into? Send us an email at fandomofpodcast@gmail.com. Till our next adventure, keep being passionate, keep being curious, and keep being a fan.